Hey everyone, welcome back to another Beast of the Mesozoic Ceratopsian series reviews. Today we're taking a look at the last of the big boys, the adult Triceratops. I have to say, I was actually surprised the other day when I got an email notification that the Triceratops shipped. If you've been following the Kickstarter updates, the Triceratops was broken up into two shipments, so only a few of them actually made it over on the first shipment. The rest of them should be showing up in the next couple of weeks or so. The only other figure I had with this order was the Utah Ceratops, and I started seeing everyone else getting their email notifications that their orders were shipping. So I just figured mine was going to come with the second batch. I was really excited to see this actually shipped, and it showed up right before Christmas. And this thing looks absolutely beautiful, and I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. Now this big trike retails for $140, but since it's not fully in stock yet, like I said, they're waiting for a second shipment of these to come in. It's still available for the discounted pre-order price on Creative Beast Studios, which is $130. If you want to save yourself $10, definitely pre-order this in the next week or two so you can save yourself a few bucks. I'll leave a link down below in the description to Creative Beast Studios. So let's go over the package really quick before we crack this big figure open. You got the nice window display with the Triceratops in full view. You have some beautiful artwork on the side right here, and the Triceratops name is kind of blocking out, but it is standing over a fallen T-Rex, which definitely messed with the wrong trike. And then up here in the corner, you can see the Beast of Mesozoic logo all decked out in foil trim. And turn the box over. My God, this box is so heavy. You got the Beast of Mesozoic logo with a black and white outline of the Triceratops, and then turn it around to the back, you get a nice checklist of all the Wave 3 figures, and you actually can see the fallen T-Rex a little bit better on the artwork on the sleeve. You also have some facts about Triceratops, and the sleeve is removable, so you can get a nice full view of the checklist. My camera is really not wanting to focus in on this box. The box is huge. Like, I am stretched as far as I can to manipulate it while I'm trying to use the camera. You can see all the figures available in Wave 3. The only two that I did not order was the Xenoceratops and the Sinoceratops, but my wife is supposed to be getting those for me for Christmas, so I guess I'll know in a day or two. So that will do it for the packaging. Let's crack this figure open and take a closer look. Alright, let's have a nice 360-degree view of this absolute unit of a figure. Seriously, if you have not seen one of these big Ceratopsian figures in person, they are truly a sight to behold. They are absolutely huge, and I actually weighed this figure and the Torosaurus, and it comes to about just under 3 pounds of plastic. These are big, hefty figures, and they are beautiful, and I love how this Triceratops came out. Every inch of it is decked out in beautiful, beautiful paint apps. Now, like most figures in the Ceratopsian series, the color scheme is inspired by real-life reptiles and amphibians, and the adult Triceratops is based off the lace monitor, and the paint job came out absolutely beautiful on here. Love the yellow and orange highlights on the frill with a little bit of white and blue. You have more of that baby blue blotching down the side of the neck and body, highlighted by a little bit of a white dry brush, and then there's multiple shades of brown and black all over the body. The figure is absolutely beautiful, and I love how this thing turned out, and the articulation, just like on all the other figures, is also wonderful. You can get these figures in some pretty neat poses if you put the work into it, but yeah, you really need to see one of these big figures up close to truly appreciate how beautiful they are. And let's just do a couple quick measurements on this big boy. This figure is 18 inches long from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, and about 7 inches tall to the top of the frill. So Triceratops is one of the largest ceratopsians. Its length is estimated between 25 and 30 feet long. So I'll put this figure somewhere in the 116 to the 119 scale range, placing it nicely in the 118 scale range the line is going for. And just like every figure in the series, you do get a nice collector card with that artwork that's on the sleeve of the packaging. You can see the adult trike took down a Triceratops. I've been slowly recreating the artwork to all these cards using the figures on my Instagram page. So I'll definitely be trying to recreate this with this figure very soon on there. And if you want to check those out, the link to my Instagram is down below in the description. Then on the back of the card, you do have your facts about Triceratops. So let's zoom in and take a closer look at this figure. First, taking a look at this beautiful head sculpt, I think David did a really nice job on this. Now, this particular Triceratops is sculpted after the species Triceratops horridus. It would be nice in the future if he went back and resculpted a head so we could have a Triceratops process. The main differences would be a larger nose horn and a shorter beak, and I think a lot of people would jump on that, including myself, because almost every Triceratops figure in existence is based off Triceratops horridus, so it would be nice to get processed for once. Love all the paint apps on the head. You have some cream color on the snout before the eye and after the eye. Little highlights of light blue in there. And then on the frill itself, you have some gorgeous yellow and orange with a little bit more of that blue mixed in with this rusty orange color and some black dry brushing along with some brown. Now notice the frill is very smooth and bone-like. That's because when this figure was being sculpted, it was thought that Triceratops may have had like a keratin sheet to cover most of its head, since no scale impressions have been found. But a couple of years ago, I think it's actually almost 3 years ago, the Canadian Museum of Nature actually found some scales on one of their Triceratops skulls. I don't think that's been officially described yet, but David was well into sculpting these figures when that discovery was made, but it really doesn't bother me. I still think it looks absolutely great. I just love all the fine texturing with that bony feel to it. The eye is painted yellow with a black pupil. You can see some nice detail in the orbit area. You do have some scales on the skull. You have a little bit right here, and you have some around the nasal region, and you can see all that scale detail is wonderfully done. You have some nice washes in there to bring out all that beautiful scale detail. The beak is painted a brown color, and then opening up the mouth, let's see if we can get a look inside there. Usually my light is terrible at picking it up, but you can just see the edge of a tooth right here. You do have teeth painted in on the lower and upper jaw, and sticking your finger way in there. There is an articulated tongue, but because the way the Triceratops skull is sculpted, you really can't see that tongue. Some figures pull off the tongue articulation better. I found on the Torosaurus and Triceratops, it's really hard to appreciate that tongue articulation. And now going to those horns, you have some nice long brow horns on here. And one of the complaints I had about these subadult Triceratops was, see this white pattern right here? It actually went onto the horns a little bit. And because of that seam line, it really broke up the paint apps, and it just did not look good to me. So there's no paint apps that go on here. You have this nice dry brush and a brown on the horns. You still have the seam line, but it does not look as bad if this white paint app was going up onto it. And the cool part is you actually get two sets of horns with this Triceratops. The ones on this one right now are the adult horns. They're much longer and straighter, but they easily pop off, and then you get these curved subadult horns. If you look right here, you can see a little notch, and you just need to match it up with the notches on top of the head, and they very easily slide on. Let's make sure I get them on the right side, and let's pop the other horn on, and then you can have subadult horns on this Triceratops. So it's nice to have this option. I think that's absolutely great. It would have been nice for the subadult trike to actually come with the horn options too, because we all know that trike is going to sub in for like 135 scale to go along with the 135 Rex that's coming out. And let's just turn the figure to the front so you could get a more of appreciation of all those really nice paint apps on the frill. And now let's turn it back around and go down to the neck region, even the back of the skull. The head is beautifully sculpted. You can see more of that bony detail. Then you start to get some scales coming in at the base of the neck. You have those baby blue blotches with a little bit of white dry brushing. The rest of the main body is just all different shades of brown and black. Just beautifully done. The paint apps on these figures are absolutely fantastic. You get more of these baby blue blotches, some cream blotches on top of the back, and then look at the figure from the top. You can see how girthy the back of this figure is. You have some large scales running down the spine, and then going down to the front legs, you have more of this yellow and cream coat for the underside, and some of it along the back legs, more of that black and brown. The front feet are beautifully sculpted. Look at all that fine scale detail on there. The toe claws are painted with a glossy black paint, and then going down to the mid part of the body, you can see all these large scales on here. We actually do have impressions for this part of the body. You can see some of these large, like hexagonal scales right here. They almost look like, I think they described it as almost like nipple-like. It's the lane specimen that these scales impressions are based off of. And then going down to the very thick hind leg, you can see more of that brown, yellow, and some of that light cream coat coming in. And then going down to the hind leg, you'll notice there's a foot missing right here. We will get to that a little bit later when we get onto articulation. I've had a small issue with this figure. That's not a big deal. It is being quickly rectified. And then going down to those toe claws, you can see more of that glossy black paint. And then going down to the very short tail, you have all that nice baby blue and brown and black. And then let's just look at it from the top. So enough about the details. Let's move on with articulation. So for articulation, the jaw can open up that far, and the foot fell off again. Like I said, we'll get to that in a second, and it can close about that far. My only issue with some of these sculpts is just the way the head sculpt, you don't get that flush closed mouth look, and the mouth's kind of just left half open. It actually looks a little bit better on this Triceratops. The Torosaurus mouth stays open a lot wider. It's just a minor nitpick. I just wish the mouth's closed a little bit flush. And then going over here to the head joint, it can look up a little bit and it can look down, and then using this back neck joint right here, you can get the head to look up a little bit farther. I gotta really work on these neck joints. This one just keeps one kind of like tilting forward a little bit, but that's about like the highest you're gonna get with that neck joint. And then you can push it up and get the head to look down. And then looking at the figure from the front, let's make sure my camera is focusing on that. You get some nice side to side movement with all those neck joints working in tandem. And then going down to the front legs, they can move forwards, they can move backwards. They do have a hinge right here that allows you to swing the legs out. You can get about 90 degrees on that elbow joint, and then you can get the leg to stick straight out. Get a little bit of wiggly waggly with the front feet, and you can rotate them 360 degrees if you wanted to. Going down to the midsection, you do get some nice side to side movement with that mid-cut joint, and you can also readjust the position of the hips by pushing it in or pushing it up. Going down to the hind legs, legs can move backwards and forwards. You can go 360 if you wanted to. On the knee joint, it's very heavy, clicky joint. You get a couple clicks out of it to get some nice knee bend. And then going down to the ankle, these large figures are really, really hard to maneuver on camera, so I'm like getting out of breath trying to handle this thing. At the ankle joint, you do get some forwards and backwards movement, and same thing on the feet. You get a little up and down. And then going down to the tail, you get some nice up, down, and side to side movement. Okay, so now it's time to talk about this broken back foot. You can see right here, that blue in there, that's some post-attack just to keep the foot in place. The joint actually snapped on this right after I took it out of the box. I noticed it had a lot of wiggle side to side, and just with barely any effort, the whole thing snapped off. So I think the joint was cracked inside the box. So I immediately got in touch with David. He's very responsive. He's going to be sending me a replacement leg once the second shipment of Triceratops comes in. So, it's a mild inconvenience right now. Yeah, it is annoying that, a joint broke on a $130 figure, but David's customer service is excellent, and I've owned a lot of these figures. This is the only figure I've ever had an issue with, and the issue is being quickly rectified. So in a few weeks, I'll have a replacement leg, and my Triceratops will be good as new. You can see where the joint snapped right there. Like I said, that blue stuff is just some post-attack I stuck in there just to keep the leg into place while I have it displayed, while I wait for my replacement. Like I said, a little annoying, not a big deal because it's getting fixed. And like I said, great customer service on David's part for getting back to me immediately and offering to send out the replacement leg. Now, moving on to comparisons, let's compare this big guy to some other Triceratops figures from other companies. First up, here it is with the Eofauna Triceratops. And next, here it is with Pianessos. And don't worry, I do have the new version on order. I should probably have that sometime right after New Year's. And here is Safari Limiteds. And this was probably everyone's biggest Triceratops in their collection until they got their hands on the Beast of the Mesozoic one. Here it is with Pianesso's large hollow vinyl Triceratops. And next, here is the always way too small Mattel Jurassic World Triceratops. I'm always shaming this thing, but look at it. It's just way too small to scale with the T-Rexes in the Jurassic World line. So Mattel, this is how you do a proper size Triceratops. Take notes. And since we just got done shaming that metallic Triceratops, here it is next to the Dino Escape T-Rex. Let's get everything in the shot. Like I said, these things are so big. I'm sitting so far back trying to maneuver these, like I'm just like stretching. So it's a little, if I look a little awkward doing this, is because it is awkward doing this. But yeah, you can see this trike looks absolutely intimidating next to this Metal Rex. And next, here's the old Kenner Red Rex, which is roughly the size of the beast of Mesozoic T-Rex when it comes out. So yeah, this Triceratops and that T-Rex are going to look absolutely amazing fighting each other on your shelf. And next, here it is with the subadult Triceratops, and I think these two figures look really great next to each other. You can really appreciate, the difference between the adult and the subadult by the paint application. The adult figure has a much more mature looking color scheme. The main body in this was mostly black and everything, but you have a lot of browns and more padding coming out of here, and you have a much brighter display on the crest. So yeah, this one definitely does work as a subadult in my eyes. And here's the thing I was talking about earlier. See on the horns right here how that white pattern came up and you have that ugly seam line? It's not as bad on the adult Triceratops because you don't have that white pattern going up there. But yeah, they definitely work. But the main reason for this subadult Triceratops to exist is to be 135 scale and scale with the 135 Rex that's coming out next year. And next, let's compare it to the other big boy in the wave, the Taurosaurus. Now, both these figures are exactly the same sculpt, minus the heads. They just have different sculpted heads. But man, they are just two hefty, large figures, and they are definitely showstoppers and centerpiece material in your collection. Like I said, these things are huge, and they're just absolutely amazing to see in person. And let's just do a couple more Ceratopsian comparisons. Here it is with the Utah Ceratops. I'll be reviewing this one next on the channel. And next up, here it is with the Pseudoceratops. And lastly, here it is with the tiny Zuni Ceratops. So, final thoughts on this Triceratops. I think it's another amazing figure. The whole series has been absolutely amazing. But these big boys are something to behold. It's just a huge chunk of plastic. And there's just so much fun to play around with. Love the articulation on them. And they just have so much shelf presence due to their size. And I just love how this Triceratops came out. Has a much more vibrant and brighter color scheme than the subadult. Love the options with the horns to have longer adult horns or shorter, more curved subadult horns. That was a very cool touch. All these big figures are just centerpiece additions to your collection. They just, you walk in a room and your eye is just immediately drawn to them just by the size and the beauty of them. And I can't wait for the Tyrannosaur series. All these Ceratopsians look great paired next to their Tyrannosaur counterparts. And I have no clue where I'm going to put all these figures once they come in. I am running out of space really, really quickly. Hashtag collector problems. And one thing I don't talk too much about in these reviews, you see right here, this is the background that comes in with the Triceratops, and I love the backgrounds that come with these figures. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I use these backgrounds a lot for photography, and they look absolutely great. So that's another bonus that comes with these figures, of these beautiful backgrounds in the packaging. And like I said at the beginning of the review, the Triceratops is officially not in stock yet because it was broken up into 2 shipments. So you still have a couple weeks to reserve it for that pre-order price of $130. So I'll save you $10 if you decide to do that. If not, in a couple weeks, once those come into stock, it's going to go back up to its regular retail price of $139.99. And I'll leave a link to Creative Beast Studios down below in the description. So that will do it for the review. I still have the rest of Wave 3 to review. I have the new PNSO figures coming in, the Triceratops and Iguanodon, still on the hunt for the newer Jurassic World figures. So a lot of reviews coming up on the channel. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.